Welcome, stampers and crafters, to the second part of Fabric Frenzy. Today I'm going to show you how to alter these flip-flops in a little bit different manner than what we did on the last set of flip-flops. These are a little bit more sophisticated. So let's gather our supplies and let's get started. So let's prepare our fabric. Today we need to make some 4-inch strips by 24 using the fat quarter from Stampin' Up. I'm just going to snip this little piece here, 4 inches, and then we're going to tear the fabric. Okay, so we need to do this again for the rest of the fabric. We just need 3 of these strips, and that way we can get one set of flip-flops from this one piece of fabric. If you prefer the frayed edge look on your flip-flop, then I would suggest to use a 2-inch strip and have the frayed edges on both sides. Or to not use sewing, you'd have one edge that would be folded and then the other edge would have the frayed edge. It's up to you. But what I'm going to show you is the sewn version, and basically you fold these together and then you're going to sew about a 1/4 inch seam here, just a straight stitch, and I'll go do that and show you what it looks like, and we'll go forward. So here's the piece that is already sewn. Okay, so if you look carefully here, you can see that I've stitched this piece, okay, about a 1/4 inch, right? So what you want to do now is you're going to want to iron this, and I've got one here already ironed. You can see you just put that in the middle and iron that out flat, okay? And then you're going to turn it. So to turn it, if you've got a turning tool, it works fantastic. If not, fingers work well also, since it is rather a big piece. Just turn it inside out. Keep working on it and working on it. And like I said, a turning tool would be very useful. Sometimes I use a knitting needle or some scissors if they're a dull point. Okay, so you're just going to keep turning that until you have it completely inside out, so it's got the right sides out, and then it will end up looking like this. Now what I've done is I've already ironed this part of it, okay, and you can see the difference here between the ironed and the part that's not ironed. Okay, it's up to you. I just like to have it starting out looking more like a little piece of flat ribbon than just a tube of fabric. Now that we have our 3 strips completed, it's time to alter the flip-flops. You'll need a pair of sturdy scissors, and we'll come to the back, and what we're going to do is clip off that plastic part. Okay, and for these ones it's a little easier to come from the front and just snip those off. So what I'm using right now is just some kitchen shears. Okay, you're going to take that off, put that away in the garbage or into a recycling bin, and you just push these ones out. Okay, and those also go into the trash or recycling bin. So now what we're going to do is take one of our pieces of fabric, okay, and what we want to do is take our fabric scissors and snip this off into a point. It's easier to thread. Now what I like to do is first make a little loop, and I thread from the back side. Okay, and sometimes you need to get something to poke it through, sometimes not. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is pull this fabric this way and put this loop in here. And so sometimes I like to also use my paper piercer with the little protective coating on it, and just kind of poke that through. You see it's coming through there on the other side. So you might need to poke that through a little bit more. There we go. Right? So what we want to do is get enough so that we can tie that off. We can readjust this little loop. Okay, So this little loop is about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Okay, so then all we're going to do is make 1 knot. Okay, and that actually secures it very well. Okay, now what we want to do is tuck that into that little hole. You see, like these ones, it's recessed into the flip-flop. Just keep tightening that down. Pull that through. So if you start off with about 1.5 inches, you might end up with about 2 inches. Okay, so that goes in there, and that actually does stay very secure. Now snip off your ends. All right. So that's the start of our flip-flop. You want to keep the rest of this for your other flip-flop to make the same loop. Now take a second piece, and we're going to thread that through this opening. Okay. Now what you'll want to do is decide how long you want this. First thing to do though is to put this through that loop. Again, we need to make an angle. It makes it thread better. And then this time you're going to go from the top side of the flip-flop. You just thread that through there. Okay. And this time, instead of tying 2 pieces together, we're just going to tie a single knot. And pull that to the end, pull that real tight. Okay, and then just pull that back through and get that seated into that area right there, into that recess. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bring that flip-flop or the fabric around to this other section. Okay, and this is where you're going to want to start measuring on your own foot to see where you want that to lay. Okay, again, we'll need to snip off and thread that through. So you're going to do that same process. However, you might leave a bigger tail. Now just remember, you'll probably need to pull it out to make the knot, and then it'll come back in once you push that through that area. Okay, so I'm going to pull a little bit tighter and tie that off. Okay, so if it looks a little bit big, you can also readjust it. Then when you're finished readjusting, you can snip off these ends as well. Okay, and then you'll want to do the other flip-flop. So here we have both flip-flops completed. You can see that I've got the bottoms trimmed up. Okay, so this one and these ones over here. Tested them out to make sure that they fit well. Okay, so join me next time for more on the Fabric Frenzy series. See ya!